This session is called Fostering a Fitness Community Ecosystem. And as I was researching to prepare for the panel, I found that Nike earlier this year announced the first 10 entrants to its Nike Plus Startup Accelerator program, which is intended to expand the Nike Plus ecosystem to a suite of third-party software, hardware, and services. And they're investing $50,000 in each partner and supporting with tools and resources and even common office space. I think that this was a real sign of the growth and increasing competition in the digital health and fitness space, and a recognition that the way that you're going to build a powerful brand is not alone, that you're going to need to rely on or you're going to need to develop a reliable ecosystem of partners. And Nike's not the only one who's doing this. Other companies are looking for partners to build their platforms and build their solutions. So this panel is going to be tackling this subject from a variety of perspectives, and I think that we'll have a very interesting discussion. But before we get into the topic itself, I wanted to give each of the panelists an opportunity to introduce themselves, their companies, and their products. So Chris, why don't you start us off?
Sure, thanks, Denise. I'm Chris Downey, founder and CEO of Spark People. As a kid, I had anxiety and I didn't like it, so I put together a program that integrates the best of all areas of health and fitness with the best of areas of behavioral psychology, like goal setting, leadership, and motivation. And along the way, I had a coworker at Procter & Gamble lose 50 pounds and tell me I changed her life. So that was the real spark that brought me into this field of wanting to help other people. And then this program gave me so much passion and energy that my friend and I started a company that grew into eBay's leading competitor and was acquired by eBay. So that gave me the seed capital to then start Spark People with the mission to spark millions of people to reach their goals, and really using health and fitness goals as a springboard to reach goals in all areas of life. So now Spark People gets about 14 million unique visitors per month, and as Nicole mentioned, we do that with a combination of tracking tools, expert content, and a very vibrant community. So we just love helping people reach their goals.
Terrific. Florian?
Hello, my name is Florian. I'm CEO and co-founder of Runtastic. Actually, we came from the app business, so we started our startup back in 2009. Just started with one app, then we decided to do more different apps. And here at CES at 2012, we launched our first hardware product, a heart rate monitor, a Bluetooth-based heart rate monitor. And at this point, we have about 15 apps on all different kind of platforms, so Windows Phone, Android, BlackBerry, and iOS, and got about more than 60 million downloads and having about 100,000 downloads each day. That means more than one download a second. And we're not just having a running app, we also have apps for biking, doing push-ups, measuring your heart rate, and all that stuff. So really try to build our own closed ecosystem. And later on, we came to build hardware because our customers really ask whether you can also provide hardware. And so we decided to go into the hardware business as well, selling our heart rate monitors. Recently, we just launched a Bluetooth smart scale called Runtastic Libra, selling them all over the world, starting here also in US. So we are based in Europe, Austria. At this point, 85 people, not VC funded. That's very important for us that we really have to earn money to grow. And yeah, I'm excited to be here.
Great. Philo.
Hi, I'm Philo Northrup, president of Tau Wellness. We're debuting here at CES. Tau is a portable device, a mobile device you can actually exercise with. And we understand you're busy. You have little kids, you have a demanding job, you have to commute. But with our device, if you have 5 minutes, you can actually get a set of reps in. And we also have a comprehensive app that keeps track of all your activity, not just the exercises that Tau provides. Even your dancing, walking the dog, bowling, and all your meals. And it tracks your heart rate, counts your steps, all that good stuff.
Great. Thank you. And Jim?
Great. So Jim Clayton, I'm an executive vice president at LG Electronics. And at this show, we are officially entering the wearable space with two products. One is called LifeBand, which is this one, which is a fitness tracker. I think we'll talk a little bit more about it later. And then the second product is our heart rate earbuds, which gives you a continuous heart rate read through your ears, so you don't need to wear a chest strap and so forth. And so we're excited to now be in the space and build an ecosystem.
Welcome. Welcome to the conversation. Okay, so we figured by this point in the day you are pretty paneled out, and so we wanted to do something a little bit different. And we're actually going to do, I guess, a simulated case study in the sense that I'm going to lay out a scenario, and we're going to have our panelists talk about how they would approach that particular scenario. So the deal is there are two made-up brands, okay? One is called Fresh Fit. It's a national established fitness club chain. And then there's Streak, an established international sports and apparel footwear brand. So you have Fresh Fit, fitness club, Streak, sportswear brand. Both companies want to get into digital fitness, and so they approach each panelist and their company as a potential partner. What we want to understand is, from each of the panelists at least first, which company, which of these two partners are you more interested in and why? And then we'll get into other questions about how you would go about developing the actual partnership. So let's start with Jim, and we'll kind of come back this way, and then we can kind of get into more of an open discussion.
Okay. So from an LG Electronics, I'll give you an answer you don't want to hear, which is both. And I say both because we're talking to both already. As a global company, and we will sell the SKU globally, they both play a little bit of a different role in the ecosystem. So the sportswear company, this international sportswear company, is a company that we look at as an interesting channel. And it's partly because channels are different. So in Korea, which is where I live, there is no Best Buy. It's actually the channel. That's where you would go to find something like that. So in some countries, that's a very powerful channel for reaching our target customers. And I think the types of customers that come in, whether it's in the US or internationally, are the types of customers that we're trying to reach. And I think that particular brand is, if they're interested in getting into wearables, may have wearables of their own. And we intentionally built this particular band to be extremely open. And so we can integrate this band with their wearable to create more of a solution for them, which lets them kind of deal with their customer base any way they want. So that's how I would think about that one. Now we're stateside, I think we're a stateside fitness company. It's a slightly different lens, so it's another mechanism for reaching the target customer for our products. And they have personal trainers and all sorts of stuff, so I think you have a very engaged model where it's not just the device, it's not just even the app, you actually have this personal support and kind of a solution mindset. So I think it's a great way of getting our products in front of those customers, but the other valuable piece is actually the learnings coming back. So as we continue to try to improve these products and make it an even better fit for what customers need, I think both of those companies provide very valuable insight coming back to us to help us do the 2.0 and the 3.0 to get closer and closer to the right answer.
Okay. Philo, how about you? Would you go with Fresh Fit, the fitness club chain, or Streak, the sporting goods company?
Well, you know, it might sound counterintuitive, but I'm kind of leaning towards Fresh Fit. Counterintuitive because, you know, we have a gym that fits in your pocket, so to speak. But the thing about people that go to Fresh Fit is that they have already expressed a desire to be healthier and to be fit. But I would estimate that 70 to 80% of the membership joined in January and isn't going past Valentine's Day. But they want to live healthier lives. And so for us, I think it's a good fit because, you know, we have our tagline, turn downtime into exercise time. Because people say we're too busy, can't get to the gym. Well, if you have 5 minutes, you can do something that stays you connected to the gym. And I think Fresh Fit would like that because that way they can stay connected to their customers and lure them back perhaps, and at least, you know, stay connected. On the other hand, the sportswear company is probably either in or looking to enter the wearable fitness market and would like a product like ours so that they could compete. And because we have a very unique device with patents behind it, they could have a very distinctive product that could help propel them into you know, the race with all the other sort of apparel type things. So it's a tough call.
Okay.
Yeah, from a Runtastic perspective, I actually would say both companies would fit because on the one side, we could really connect our apps to hardware equipment at the gym clubs, like a treadmill, to have the data immediately, also in the app integrated. On the other side, we're doing hardware as well, therefore closes, all that stuff would work very good. But also I think I'm one of the most critical person when we're talking about partnerships, because what we have figured out as a startup, it's really very important that we are focusing on our own way. We are doing a big roadmap, so building a lot of apps, each app translated in at least 10 languages, going for Chinese market, Japanese market, Brazil, all those emerging markets as well. And so we do know, or we figured out as we did first partnerships in Europe, that this could be a lot of work and a lot of things we can't go that pace that we would like to go. For example, when it came to the point where you get a 60-site contract, that's not doable for us because we have to move fast. We got 100,000 downloads a day and we would like to push that. So for me, the first really important thing is how we can both of us start easily to figure out whether we can work together or not. And I would say I would go with both companies, but really try to have a MVP very fast out at the market and getting feedback and then say, okay, let's go, that does work, and let's go down the line.
So kind of try to fast prototype as
Exactly,
quickly as possible and then
exactly,
make a decision. Okay, all right. And Chris?
Sure, I'd say it's a tough call for us as well. I'd look at this, community lens, like looking at the real people and see who we could help the most maybe. And I'd probably choose FreshFit if I had to pick one because they have that community of people coming into their physical location. So then we could build a virtuous cycle from a physical location to an online community as well. So I think I would pick that challenge. Even though the Streak brand, they could be appealing as well because they probably have a passionate group of users who love that brand as well. So it's a tough call, but I'd go with FreshFit, I think.
Okay, all right. And so talk to me a little bit about how you would go about figuring out what you would do together. They're kind of open and assuming that you have an agenda or some specific objectives. How do you actually figure out what kind of partnership you're going to do with either one of these brands that we're talking about? Go ahead, Jim.
I mean, in any partnership, there's two sides, right? So, and I can speak in both instances, right? I start by listening, which is, what do you have and what do you need? And then I've got my own version of that, and then you work together effectively as a team, just figuring out how do we get something done very quickly that's meeting both, right? Because if you come at it just one-sided, if it's all push and no pull, it's not gonna work. And so I think you set up the scenario in both instances, like they want to enter the space. Okay, well, what do you want to do, right? And what is it that you're trying to accomplish? Okay, now within that construct, how can I help you get to where you need to get? And then how can you help me? And then you effectively form it together. You kind of starting position, and then success breeds growth, basically.
Other thoughts about that?
Well, I mean, we're having this discussion now. We're a small startup, and it kind of starts with, like, what are they offering? And how do they see our product, and how would they utilize it? Because we have the device and we have the app. It's sort of a system and a platform, and it can go in a lot of different sectors. And are they thinking expansively? Like, if there's everything from just fitness all the way to healthcare and travel, and then sports and therapy. So I would like to see, how they what's their plan for utilizing it?
One of the reasons why we wanted to do this case study with you all is because each of you represents a different kind of company. Large electronics, you got a hardware device, you have an app, now you have hardware as well, and we have a community. So I'm curious, from your unique perspectives, the specific kinds of companies you have, what are you bringing to the table that other folks on this panel wouldn't? Or what is your unique value contribution to a partnership like the ones we've been talking about?
I'd say with Spark People that integration of online tracking tools like nutrition and fitness tracking with the content, with the community that we've been doing for a decade, it takes a lot of time to build up the expertise to really do that well. So that's something that we could look at the assets of a FreshFit or a Streak and really advance them forward maybe by like 5 years. And it could really bring their business to a new place. So that would be fun for me to look at the strategic fits there to see how we could help them reach their goals.
Yeah, for us, it's very similar. There's already an existing ecosystem. There are millions of people are using the apps, and so you're not starting down at zero. When you're entering in that space at this time, it's getting more and more competitive, and it's not that easy to get a high flyer. For example, in the app business, all of you guys knows how many new apps appearing each day, and also how many new hardware gadgets, for example, those Kickstarter projects, they are coming out. But I think it's not that easy when you just have one product or one app to make that in a very good way. So we trying to build an ecosystem, and we really can fit or can connect other ones as well. And so I don't know, we can't do everything because therefore specialists are here and there. But I think that's really the way to find those people which are fitting here and connecting them. And for the gym clubs, we talk to many of them, and it's not that easy when you think very international, how we are doing, because in US it's totally different than to German and maybe to the Asian countries as well. So that is where we bring in value added. We do know, or we think we do know the different cultures. We have people, they are working, Chinese people working for the Asian market, and European ones for the European, and American ones for the US market. And that's a big benefit, I guess, we can bring in.
Well, I think what we bring is something completely unique. Would allow a bigger company to have something that's distinctive. I mean, there is no, the space for monitoring and tracking fitness is getting very crowded. And so what we would have is a unique angle in that you can actually exercise with our device, and we have patents issued against it, so it'll stay unique, and that would make them stand out.
I think mine's a little more straightforward, which is we bring hardware expertise and global scale. But when we looked at this market, it's interesting if I look at myself, my wife, and others. I think one conclusion we reached was fitness is extremely personal, which is what works for my wife and keeps her motivated doesn't work for me. And so the trick is, how do you allow the consumer to build their specific solution, right? And it does take community, it takes all these pieces. And I think in the end, what's gonna win is basically everybody doing what they're really good at, and then allowing the consumer to self-assimilate the solution that works for them, that keeps them engaged. And that's why we partnered with kind of each of the pieces. So LG is not trying to be the fitness expert or the community builder or so forth. We do what we do it really well. We will take it to scale. We're already integrating with Spark People. We're having discussions with Runtastic. I mean, in other words, we know that there's a role for everybody to play, and then we need to get out there and make it really easy for the consumer to put those pieces together to stay healthy and fit.
And Juliana, we're so glad to see you. I'm glad that you're able to make it.
Sorry about it.
That's okay. We did already start, so I wanted to let me introduce. I'll let you introduce yourself to the audience. Tell a
Okay.
little bit of yourself, your company, your product, and then I'll ask you about the partnership question. But go ahead.
All right, hi everyone. So my name is Juliana, and I'm from Zenzorum. So the product that you're seeing on screen is what we're doing. That's called a Think, and actually it's a fitness and wellness device that measures for your fitness in your heart rate, your oxygen, and also your respiration rate. What it does is also measuring for your relaxation level. So these are the two components that we feel is very key to individual lifestyle, today lifestyle, very important. It's for people like you and me. We are not medically ill, but we do not have a device today that is empowering us to know about ourselves. So this is what the company is key on working. Thank you.
Great. And so, Juliana, I had set up the scenarios
Yes.
that potential partnerships, either with FreshFit, the National Fitness Club chain, or Streak, the international sporting goods and apparel brand. And each of these gentlemen have already given their point of view about which brand you'd be more interested in, which brand they would be more interested in. What is your answer?
I would love to work with both of them, really.
That's what a lot of them say.
Yes, I bet. So our preference, if we're just talking about the time to commercialization, we would like to work with the fitness club because we see it as a very quick fit that we could actually easily implement with them. With the wearable devices, like if I'm going to work with the other company, which is actually doing more the apparel, we would like to do more development work to see how we can move it into the apparel comfortably. But with the fitness club, we can actually devise a program where we could work together with the club members and kind of provide the device to them with before and after exercise, how they're feeling, how is the program actually improving their fitness and also their wellness lifestyle, not neglecting your stress level. So these are the two components that we feel could fit in very, very quickly together.
Great. All right. So I had previously asked, what are you uniquely bringing to the partnership? And some of you already talked about the other side of this, but I did want to explore it a little bit more. What is that partner, either the fitness club chain or the sporting goods apparel brand? What are they bringing specifically that you don't have, or that you really? What is their unique contribution to the value proposition that makes you very interested in them? So. Anybody, we don't have to go in order again, so.
I'm sorry, so you're asking sort of the reverse
Yes.
question?
Mm-hmm.
Well, from our perspective, there's lots of things. There's what he was talking about, global reach, and the engineering muscle that company could bring to bear. The communities that are set up. We're in a prototype phase. We don't have a community, so that would be a huge boon. Also, I think access to different markets that we have not explored yet for us, like maybe healthcare and therapy. Lots of times people recovering from either childbirth or a stroke or surgery, the doctor says you really need to exercise, but they can barely get out of bed. Our device could be very useful for that, And I'm not a doctor, but I think that kind of research could be very interesting. And we've had some people come by our booth and say that. So, we're at the early phase of all this. You guys been decades into it, and obviously LG, So it's really interesting for me because they all have something pretty valuable.
Other things that you could name about the fitness club chain or Streak, the sporting goods brand, that you think are particularly interesting to you, their unique value?
If I was going to pick Fresh Fit, the fitness chain, that on-site location is a big deal because we have some communities on Spark People that meet online and offline, and the power of that virtuous cycle between online community and offline community can be really strong. So if we had a national fitness chain with centers all over America, and we could create communities and challenges that were live both online and apps plus the offline locations, that could be a true grand slam.
That makes a lot of sense.
For us, it's similar the same because they have so many people already, so many club members, and they are doing sports, they are doing fitness, therefore they are signed up and therefore they're working out. And it would be so nice when you just walk in and all data is synced automatically, and you have in your ecosystem all the data together. And you, at this point, when you're using Runtastic, for example, you have to enter when you have been to the gym, you have to enter it manually. How many miles did you do on the treadmill? All that stuff, and there could be so much easier ways to integrate that one. But on the other side, it's not like that you're changing the treadmill each year in a gym club. It's, of course, the technology is moving in a very fast way, but also I think in usual, a treadmill is in a gym for 10 years. And so it takes a while to get all those new treadmills and new equipment into the gym club. But there's a huge community. That will be good.
Right, so for myself, what we see will be a very good synergy together with the fitness gym will be, when you go to a gym, you get your measurements taken. They take you for the first time the initial trial test and see how your measurements are detecting your fitness level. But that was only going to be a one time, and the next time they're going to do it is a couple of months later, a couple of weeks later. But how about having a device that each of the consumer can actually bring back together with them? So you can actually monitor yourself on a day-to-day basis, not just when you come to the gym to do the workout. So there's a very good synergy that we see over there that how Ting could actually complement into the fitness gym.
And then, from my perspective, I'd say both are the same in a way, which is both of them have a deep relationship with their customer set and access to those customers, right? And so from LG's perspective, we create devices that help support that relationship, but more important, and not more important, equally importantly, is make the feedback coming back. And I mean this from an international perspective, right? What do we need in the UK? What do we need in Germany? What do we need in China, right? And it's basically how are those different, and how do I need to incorporate all of those asks and needs of the different types of communities that are going on back into kind of the ultimate physical device to help support the communities and that relationship.
So it's very much a learning opportunity.
I think it is.
Yeah. All right. One last question about this partnership thing, and then I have some other just general questions for you. But what other kinds of players, what other kinds of companies would you be looking to bring into this partnership to enhance it even further?
So that one's easy, which is the panel. So we're already in that process, exactly. So, and I mean this, and what we're doing that's so different in one part with the band that we built is it's completely open at every level, right? And it's basically to enable the consumer to make this choice. So we are working with hardware partners. You might call them competitive, I don't care, right? It's up to the consumer, you choose. So the band will work with a Polar Heart band. Then you kind of step up to the next level at the application level, right? We ship with an application. Are we trying to lock the customer into that? No. You can pick leading applications that are more specific to your needs and use that one instead. Then you step up to the community. Fine, right? There again. And so you can kind of see it on the board back there, but basically, we are building a device that we can drop into the middle of this entire ecosystem, and everybody can attach to it so that we support it. And that's why everyone's relevant for us. Hardware, software, service, fitness brand, global, or local fitness gym.
Well, I'd like to talk to video game companies, because this works as a game controller as well. And I'd like all of you to stop by our booth, because it's pretty hard to talk about it if you haven't tried it. So you can see that it's real exercise, and it's fun to control an avatar and things like that. I'd like to talk to airlines. I think that, how many of you had a brutal flight to get here and arrived in a pile of bones? Okay, well, imagine if you could actually do some exercises while you're in the seat there, and you actually get rid of some stress and do some sort of like kind of yoga-like stuff and a little bit of weight training. That'd be probably a little pleasanter by the time you got here.
Virgin does that. Virgin America has those yoga exercises in their seat back pocket. So
yeah, yep. So perfect. And I'd like to talk to insurance companies, and as I said before, the whole healthcare angle and corporate fitness, a lot of angles.
Also for us, we already started talking to insurance companies as well, but also, for example, to hotel chains. It could make a lot of sense when you're checking in, you get the routes next to your hotels where you can go for a run or for a walk and all that stuff. And you, for example, also get the app downloaded very easily and things like that. Or recently we have done an app with a 3D avatar. It's called the Runtastic Six Pack, where you can follow an avatar in front of your screen on the iPad, but you also can stream it via Apple TV to your TV, for example. And we already talked to a few how we can integrate that one in your hotel room, that you can do a, let's say, 15-minute abs workout very easily. So that would be partner. They would make a lot of sense for us.
all right, so I'm going to leave the whole partnership case study thing. I have a few other questions for you specifically, and then I'll also open it up to the audience, so if you want to be thinking about the questions you might have. But one of the things I wanted to ask, actually, Florian, when we had prepared for this panel, you had talked a little bit about the pros and cons of creating your own community versus tapping into another community like Facebook's. And so I was curious if you could share your thoughts about that.
Yeah, it was at the beginning we really thought about, are we going just for a mobile app, or should we also build a community at runtastic.com? And if everybody knows the space is moving and everything is getting more and more mobile, it was really a hard decision at the beginning. But by the end of the day, we thought we have to do that because that is the space and the place where people can really be connected. But on the other hand, also, we have to use integrations like Facebook and Twitter and all the social media to spread out the word. To be really honest, in the first 2 years, we didn't spend any dollar in marketing. So we really tried to make that viral. We have, for example, one feature, when you go out for a run and go into a live mode, people can follow you, and when they, for example, press the like button on Facebook, you will immediately receive in your earphones I like it, and you know somebody's watching it, your run. And so that was really cool, and we really got a big boost there. And I think for us it was the right decision, and right now there's the next decision where you would like to have the community. Is that community going to be mobile in future, or are desktops and notebooks really an option for the long future, because more and more people using mobiles, tablets, and all that stuff. And so that is the next part. So for us, the integration was necessary, but it's good to do their own community, to have all our data. Our data is our data, and nobody else can attach them. And that's also important from a security perspective.
Chris, do you have a perspective on that? You know, tapping into an existing community versus creating your own?
Yeah, we realize that people are going to be everywhere. We like having our own community because we've seen that people can come together as strangers with common interests, and they have formed bonds in our community that they've told us are stronger than with their own family in some cases. So we've seen that strangers coming together can truly help each other. But at the same time, we know that our members are on Facebook, on Twitter, on apps. So we try to be where they are as well. So we try to have a mix of both of those to get the best of all worlds.
Okay. Question for you, Jim. Since LG is just entering this field, and I'm curious as to how you decided what you were going to do in this space, and the fact that you created this wearable device. Can you walk through a little bit of the decision-making process about how you ended up with the product that you did?
So we actually had a wearable device. We've had a wearable device in Korea for the last 3 years. And so we've been watching that, learning it. We were having to build our own community, kind of all those pieces, and using Korea a little bit as a sandbox of learning about what's working and what's not, who stays on, drops off, and so forth. And then coupling that with what our point of view was about what was missing kind of in the US marketplace and so forth. And it was those two things that came together that said, given our core expertise of what we do well, we saw it was a really solid fit with the wearable space in the role that we play, right? Which is to build the best possible device that you can, that people will actually wear and keep wearing. And it was that totality that caused us to go in. And what we decided was, when we looked in the marketplace, we saw that I'm gonna call it Gen 1 of this, and so was ours in Korea, it was a special purpose device. And so when you have a device that does one thing and one thing only, then you will find your customer base, but it's going to be a really focused set of customer base. And so what we saw in Korea was sometimes that someone would buy it and 3 weeks later they would stop, right? And so what we decided is the answer is to do it the other way, which is to actually build a band that fits in the life instead of asking you to change your life to fit the band, and which is why we call it LifeBand. And so it does work as a fitness tracker, but it also helps you manage the rest of your day. And so that's us pushing to try to find the right balance so that consumers will stay in the game, so to speak, and community plays a really important role for that as well, but this is the piece that we play.
Great. Do you all have any questions? I mean, I could continue on, but I want to make sure that if there are any questions that you might have, that we get them. All right, while you're thinking about it, another question. Juliana, as an international company, I'm curious as to how do you account for the cultural differences between markets, and not only in your development, but also in your marketing? How do you make sure that you are reaching different kinds of customers in your different regions?
So our office is actually just based in Singapore and Thailand right now. But each time when we think about attending or attracting a new market, what we actually do is we send in people into the market itself, do the survey, and whenever we hire consultants, it's always people who are in the market itself. Even our marketing structures, we do not really set up the company to just base on that market and kind of cultivate a culture out of it. So we hire people who are on the ground performing the job itself, people who are experienced in it, and then from there on we learn from them what are actually the cultural differences, and from that point we target all our marketing towards that crowd. So we have our China market, we have our US market, we have our European market, Germany, even different places in European, they actually function differently. So it's actually targeting the market differently on a different aspect with the right kind of consultants on the ground itself helping us.
Do other people have advice about accounting for cultural differences between regions?
Well, I think one thing I've noticed is that there are differences in as far as levels of comfort with exercising in public, I would say. I've noticed that. And that's one of the things that came up in our research, and that people expressed that they like the idea that you could, in your own time and space, sort of get some reps in and things like that.
questions?
I'll give you
Oh,
one.
go
I mean,
ahead.
this is a little bit different, but at least what we see is that because we've got a continuous heart rate monitor and the life band, and the world is in a very different state, right? So the U.S. market, from my perspective, that's the easy one. I mean, easy in the sense that what you're doing is you're shaping the market because it exists, right? It's here, right? But if you step into Korea, you'll find that nobody measures their heart rate. They don't know why you ever would. It's just not relevant to them culturally. And so when we look at some markets on like the life band, you're going to have to make the market, right? It's the U.S. 5 years ago before anybody knew, why would you do this? What's it for? How does it help me? And so that's kind of, we split the market, kind of the world up into two pieces, which is, are we shaping or are we making, right? And then you've got to take the whole marketing approach to each country about whether you're shaping or making.
Right. Okay. All right. One last call for questions from the audience. Anybody? Actually, let me end with one thing. I'd like to just do quickly one piece of advice that you would give about entering into partnerships. A lesson you learned, or something that you feel like for those aspiring, startups here. What is something that you could leave them with?
So maybe when I begin, when I'm doing something like that, I really set up in the very first meeting how we can do, let's say, a win-win, or picking really the low-hanging fruits to get a partnership started in a very easy way, and say what could be the first prototype, the first draft, what we can do together. And then usually we're figuring out within 1, 2, 3 months whether this partnership will work or not. And really, we did things like where we spent 14, 16, 18 months, and then we broke up because it didn't work. And so we could use this time in a way, way better than just spending into working a lot and contract and all that stuff, and then finally the product never came out.
I would say what Jim said earlier, listen. Because in the discussions, you should be able to sense what they really want to do with what you bring to the table. And that should align, that should feel pretty, top down, hair in the back, sunglasses on, going forward. It should feel right.
I think as you get into the process, you'll see you spend hours, days, months arguing over words in a document. And then after that's all finished, it'll go in a drawer and nobody will ever look at it again. So the most important thing is to get alignment of incentives. And if you get that right, the partnership will work, right? Assuming it's a good solution, and it will work. And if you don't get that right from the beginning, it's not going to work no matter what the words say, no matter what the go-to-market is.
For me, I think we are very innovation-based, so I would say be brutally aware of the innovation that the partner is bringing on board, especially their IP. This is one thing that we will very, very focus on the IP that the other partner is bringing aboard. The second point that I would emphasize will be the market awareness that the partner has of the market that they are entering into. Also, we are coming back to the market adoption. So some of the markets, like in the US, market adoption for fitness wearable devices are very fast. But when we talk about Asia, it's not as fast. And we talk to people in Korea as well, and we were wanting to know what is the market rate over there like. So these are the two key points that I would say my advice would be.
I think I'd sum it up with shared values, because if you've got the people who are working together well, you've got the mission fit. A good example with us, we partnered with FitLinks for our wearable tracker, and an example of that is our engineers for the respective organizations like working together, and that just really says a lot.
Really? Great, great. All right, well, Chris, Florian, Philo, Jim, Juliana, thank you very much. Let's give them a round of applause.